Starseed Activations. Excellent. So, my name is Danielle Lipton. I'm a channeler of star beings known as the Star People. I do have an Arcturian husband. His name is Tarek. He has helped me to write a book known as My Ascension Guide. So, tonight we're going to dive right in. We do have a full list of questions for tonight's channeling. So, we're just going to go ahead and welcome everyone. Ian, Caroline, Nancy. Excellent. Okay. Mind manipulation, whether it be from ET, spirit, soul form, or how does that appear in other lives or other people's lives or our past lives? So many times we have to be in vibrational alignment to allow a manifestation of manipulation into our reality. There's always going to be a type of manipulation attachment present. And so an energetic attachment is a type of being. It's like a person, but they're in the energy field. We can't see them with our actual eyes. However, we can dive in, we could do meditations. There you are able to unlock the mind. You're able to start to see and perceive these things. There are certain types of human-based camera systems which will allow us access into seeing these things. They kind of do resemble demons, most of them. Now, the most important thing is that we understand what their name is. And so their name is their emotion code. So we always want to take a look at what behavior patterns that we are currently running. So whatever behavior pattern you are constantly doing over and over again, we want to always discharge it like it's an attachment. So we'll take a behavior pattern, sad. Sadness, it's an emotion, but it triggers certain behavior patterns to manifest for us. So we say sadness, get off and go home. Now you start doing that for every emotion or experiential. So an experiential is an experience that keeps happening over and over and over again, because we only want to really focus on the bad ones. If it's a positive experience, we'll take that. Thank you. And so those positive experiences are positive attachments. Now, what the star people call these beings are messengers, because each and every one of us is a tiny little aspect of the source frequency. Many people know this as God. And so that tiny little light is inside of us, and that light manifests according to our emotions. So our emotions dictates our manifestations. All of the magical abilities or extrasensory abilities are directly controlled by emotions. So which emotions do you choose to harness? Do we choose the negative ones? Many of us have been choosing the negative ones without realizing that we're picking the negative ones. So we have an experience, it triggers the dark emotions, and we don't clear them. So the attachments stay latched on. When we start to go in, we start to clear the attachments, we also want to start to summon the light-based messengers. Light-based messengers are also known as attachments or angels, the star people are saying. Now, angels, they all have different emotion codes. They all have different frequencies. What the star people are showing us now, or showing me now, because it's like a training program that I'm in with them, what they're showing me is light frequency emotions, which we're unaware of here on Earth. And so many of the lighter frequencies has been skewed from humanity's perception. This has been done on purpose. That's okay too, because now we're starting to bring them in. So one thing we were actually working on this week was, how does it feel to be a saint? And so, but we just want to imagine this and visualize this. And now this is pretty amazing, because when you start to really go inside and just imagine, if the feelings, the emotions feel different for every single person. This is what the star people said. They say every person has their own perception, and all the people are seeing things out of their eyes very differently. But this is why when you put all of us together, each person in the simulation is a puzzle piece to the source frequency. But this goes and it fractalizes out, because they're showing me we're all puzzle pieces of the human collective consciousness, but then they have their own consciousness grid. And each person born on their planetary systems, no matter how long that person lives, is a puzzle piece. The higher the evolution, the more intricate the puzzle pieces to their consciousness grid becomes. Now, when we start channeling, we are able to come down and channel in from an entire consciousness unit. Now, what that looks like is really, really interesting, because when we start channeling an entire consciousness, it allows us to channel all information that that entire consciousness grid has, which is going to be in vibrational alignment with the frequency of the channeler. So if the channeler is at 1157 brick of consciousness, that brick of consciousness is going to determine the alignment for the collective channeling that the person is aligned with, which is going to only allow that brick of knowledge to be downloaded into them. Each brick of consciousness knowledge is stored in the time and space of the consciousness grid structure. So what does that mean? When we start to dive in and we start to look at it, what he's saying is their planetary species was at a brick 57 consciousness maybe 1 million years ago, just as an example, because there's multiple species talking through the star beings, the star people, he's correcting. So because of this, it allows us to tune into that brick of consciousness through time and space, which is giving us access into the knowledge, but they can also change or modify the knowledge that we are receiving, because they're doing, it's like very, very advanced. What he just showed me that they're doing is they're looking at the human consciousness grids and all the potentials. And what they do is they look at the potentials of each person watching each video, and then it's times 1,000 because there's other channelers giving us the same exact information. So they're doing this for all of the channelers. All of the people who are watching the video, they're looking at everyone's potential. And then they know what knowledge needs to come to all of you guys to make the highest consciousness shift in the human consciousness grids. That's very, very advanced. That's kind of like, if you take a look at it, an artificial intelligent computer would do that. We would be like, okay, the computers have to do it. They don't need computers to do it. They could download the information instantaneously, which gives them access into like the whole picture or the whole perception of the entire channeling, because we're just talking about the channeling right now. They can see the entire channeling and the highest potentials of all of the words spoken. So take that and run with it. And he's like, now times it by 1 million, because that's what they're actually doing behind the scenes, which is pretty wild and amazing. So mind manipulation, you would definitely have to be in alignment with attachments that are going to allow that experience to manifest into your physical reality, they are saying. Number one, we had questions come in from Ian. And so one of the questions, am I personally of service to the one creator? Yes, I am. I am in service to love and light. I am in service to the one creator. I am a fan of unity consciousness. I believe together we rise. I believe that we should be healing each other, not for profit or gain, but because we want to heal each other so that we can activate our extrasensory abilities and we can really start to dive in deep and we can start to make big changes in the world. The changes, they do not have to start on the government levels. The changes are already starting in your everyday people. Your stay-at-home moms, they are starting in the mailman. All of these people who are waking up to the consciousness shift, we're the ones coming together. Whether we come together on an online video or we come together in real life to have these types of conversations, it is raising the frequency that each and every one of us are holding. Now, not only that, but when we start to embody love. Now, love is literally the answer that each and every one of us have been seeking. And it starts with self-love, because when we start to dive in deep, we start to hold love and light in our hearts, then all of a sudden it starts to reflect outwards. The more and more we can reflect that frequency outwards, the more it allows us access into that higher frequency range. The more we can start to tune into the higher frequencies, there's different light codes up there. I know, because I felt the star people showed me what they look like, what they feel like actually. And so when we start to just imagine and visualize, what does it feel like to be a saint? Just imagine it, just visualize it. It doesn't matter what it feels like to you. Embody it, feel it in your entire physical form. And then all of a sudden, you're going to start to shift your perception. The way that you speak starts to change. Everything about your body starts to change. It basically activates you into that frequency bandwidth he's showing me. And then all of a sudden, one day you look back and you are in that frequency. So the more and more you do that, the more light codes opens up to you, because that's not even the highest frequency. There's like 1,000 frequencies that are light. And it's like, but we also have to recognize that the light waves are all up there, and there's some that we're unaware of. There's dark ones too that we're unaware of. We focus on the light because those feel better though for us. And it also is going to help us to activate 5D frequencies for all of the consciousness grids. Because the second that an individual feels the light codes, they pull them down into their body and they start grounding them into the physical reality. And then by having conversations and telling people, hey, this is what I felt, you could feel it too. Just imagine and visualize it. Then all of a sudden it starts to activate that. Now, we've been doing this automatically in my meditations, because what I started doing in the beginning was I started in grounding. Well, what would it feel like to be a magician? What would it feel like to have the extrasensory abilities fully activated? What would full-blown telepathy look like? And what that looks like, it looks like you having a conversation in your mind with extraterrestrials running all day long. That's what it looks like. That's also what it sounds like. That's what it feels like. Sometimes you find yourself like having a sign conversation, and it's amazing. So, okay, so we had another question come in. There's blocks in my meditation. What can I do to open and expand these blocks, which will allow my meditations to either go deeper, or you can do things like astral project, which is pulling the consciousness out of the physical form and flying around the cosmos, or you can see into parallel densities, dimensions, or parallel realities, as star people are saying. Now, when we start to project, because projecting the consciousness means that you can see the entire simulation, but the simulation as a whole is fractalized in its nature, which means that the starting point is what you are seeing right now. So your room, wherever you are, whatever your location is, and then it spirals out and it is never ending. So you can continue to go on and on and on. There is no starting point. There is no end point, because that is the way the physical reality works. And the astral forms is a representation of the physical reality. When we start to play with densities, the densities is where things get very interesting, because densities is where you take your physical form and you start to do the shadow work. You become lighter and lighter and lighter. When you start to eat salad, you feel lighter and lighter and lighter. So there's certain laughing meditations where you are summoning laughter. That is going to make you feel lighter. You summon, he's saying that there's inspirational music. Many of it may even be religious texts from a very long time ago. With that music, embody it, feel it in the physical form, because that was all sacred geometric music, similar to Mozart. When we start the process of embodying higher frequencies, we start to gain a little bit less density. So we're lighter and lighter and lighter. So that is what we do. When we start to see a block, now, block in meditation usually is in the pineal gland, but can also be in the chin, in the nose, or in the throat, the star people are saying. There's different chakra systems. The chakra systems go like this, from the nose to the pineal gland. This is a sacred geometric, he's saying it's like a measurement. And then from here to the chin is another measurement, but it's equal in the geometries. From here to the throat. So we have chakra systems here. Here, the crown chakra is about the same length, and it goes all the way down the body. The heart chakra has an upper chakra and it has a lower one. Your soul, the seat of the soul, is in the lower heart chakra. Your body's, or your physical thermostat, is in the upper one. Now, inside the center of the heart chakra is a 0 point. That 0 point is directly inside time and space. It is how you control your flicker rate. The flicker rate is very important because it allows you to control the physical reality, and the flicker that we see controls time and space to such a degree in which a consciousness is able to pull itself inside and start to make changes or modifications to the time experienced, which basically means if you wanted to take your consciousness and project back in time, you would have to enter that 0 point. The 0 point is a gray area. So it is a frequency of neutrality. That neutrality must be held in order to align in the 4 quadrants of the heart. The brain must also be aligned, because there are 4 quadrants in the brain. These two things, when they come together, and then we also have a 64-bit personality cubed complex. That personality grid complex is located inside of the heart chakra. It is made when you times 8 by 8 is 64. So these things must connect. And then all of the 64 you have to go right into the direct center cube. That's the 0 point. This is important. Sometimes what he's saying. Sometimes the attachments block your meditations, not only by the pineal gland, but they drop into the personality grid complex. And then they start to embody lower frequencies, which starts to resonate in the heart. And then all of a sudden, you are not able to cast yourself or project out. It can always skew. He's calling it remote viewing. So remote viewing can also be skewed when the personality grid complex has an entity attached into it. So we would want to definitely dive in deep to that and see. Now, just imagine there's 64-bit cubes. Normally, half are light, half are dark inside of your heart chakra. So how this works is the people who channel, there's a little light stream that comes down the inner Kundalini channel, and then it goes into the personality grid complex where there's an open spot. And so this is how the circles and squares function, the star people are saying. This allows us to channel multiple sources at once, because it's like this consciousness will plug in, this consciousness will plug in, and the actors do this automatically, because when they are summoning in, let's say Captain Jack Sparrow, when he summoned Jack Sparrow, he pulled that consciousness because it is a piece of the source frequency, and he placed it into the personality grid complex. Many times an action code will be generated to allow such individuals access into that personality grid complex easier. So an action code can be as simple as putting on a wig and makeup and getting into personality, or putting on an outfit, or putting on, he's showing me like a Superman cape. The children do that. And he's showing me you put on that cape, and all of a sudden the children feel powerful. And that's because they're pulling down that version of their personality, which is embodying them, and it's changing the mental grids. The mental grids is the way that we think and perceive and the emotions that we want. So this is another reason why he's saying we had what would Jesus do bands that people used to walk around and wear. And when you looked at it and you questioned it, it actually allowed for that information to come into the personality grids of the person looking at it. So it acts like an action code, which is absolutely amazing. For Ian's question, go into the heart, and I want you to visually see a 64-bit cube. Any squares that are blackened, those are darkness. So just ever so gently, imagine and visualize pulling, removing it from the side of the 64-bit cube. Then see, and right before the meditation, my Starman's saying, do it right before, and then see how the meditation changes. You may have to do it several times, because certain attachments, they're showing me it may jump because it doesn't want to be cleared, but keep focusing on it. It'll work in time. Okay, what's happening when I have long periods of deja vu? So deja vu is a very interesting topic, because whenever we see a deja vu, it is always a blending of the timelines. So what that means is when each individual becomes a quantum, we start accessing the higher realms, or accessing the source frequency. We start accessing the quantum field itself. When we start accessing the quantum field itself, it allows access to make instantaneous changes or modifications. I've experienced this during my in-person channelings in front of people, because the channeling becomes very high frequency to such a degree in which I feel like I can push on the frequencies coming from each person. That's a quantum realm. We each do this by following our highest passion, because your highest passion gets you to embody those higher frequencies. And then you can make changes or modifications each player character in your simulation. Even though each player character is a soul form, that soul form will either accept or reject the programming that you were trying to give them. Your higher self always guides the entire process until such a degree in your evolution is held, and then it will allow your higher self to energetically bond inside of your heart chakra system, which then allows you to have the perception of being the higher self. And then it puts you on the highest and best timeline in which these types of changes are done with the heart chakra. So the higher self will always be guiding, but you will be the higher self. That is how that process works. Deja vus it's like seeing into time space, into the simulation during the now moment, which is amazing. So whenever we see extended bricks of that, that always is going to be an indication, the star people are saying, that the individual has a time space ability waiting to activate. That also means that they have an attunement to a time space ability, because the more and more you start to see the flicker rate, which is how the hologram flickers. It's a picture with a picture behind it. And the more and more we start to access deja vu, it means that the individual can control time and space. That must be further cultivated. It is never going to be a one and done because the simulation safeties are on. And so they're going to give us a little bit, let us see, let us feel, and then we have to integrate it. Okay, now I know it because now I've seen it. Now I believe it. I know it for a fact. The second that we know it for a fact, we start placing focus and attention on it, and we let that expand because that is a magnetized attunement. Magnetized attunements are always going to come to us. They are always going to expand, and they are always going to be in our highest and best alignments, unless it is something that we need to learn from. When we need to learn from something, it usually is of the darker scale, but that's okay too. Whatever cycle repeats, each and every one of us is repeating over and over. That's always a sign. One, get rid of the attachments. Two, I have to hold neutral. It is okay that this experience manifested into my world. And it is, I'm releasing it now. I'm neutral. And then I send it love and light so I can heal myself. That actually generates a triangle because we are holding 3 different emotional codes. So we are polarizing or healing the polarity of each experiential. When we start to do this to all of the experiences that we have had in our current reality, it shall actually allow us to heal an aspect of the energetic grid structure, which then in turn is going to allow us access into 5D frequencies. We must heal 12 total experientials, which are the heavy hitting things that we came into this reality to learn. Whatever they might be for each and every one of us is the things that we have to heal. When we dive in deep, we start to heal this, and all of a sudden it unlocks the star gate, which is above our heads, and then all of a sudden we're allowed to go through the number 13 is us passing through the higher self light tubule into 5D frequencies. It's a baby step process. This is why people normally we focus on the shadow work first, because when we focus on releasing the density, it allows us to hold more love and light. And the more love and light that we can hold, the higher the biological frequency is going to become. The higher the biological frequency, then all of a sudden our perception of the physical world is going to start to change, shift, or modify to such a degree in which time space is going to seem to go faster, and we may seem to be in the right place at the right time to experience more and more of our highest passion. That's how the system works. It's beautiful. Now, okay, do the star people know Ra? And so let me take a sip. This is the whole situation with how channeling works. The second that we ask an extraterrestrial race, do you know Ra? It is the second that they go and they trigger into the memory grids of the human consciousness grid. And they have all information that we have access to on Ra. So, but it's instantaneous. So imagine we would have to sit here for hundreds of hours watching all of the content on all the videos about Ra and then trying to remember it all. They go like this, and it's kind of like touching a button, and they have all of that knowledge instantaneously. And then if they wanted to, they can go and they can contact Ra directly, and then they can even start to communicate with him. So we can't ask questions like that because it's like, bam, now they have all the information, they know it. So it would be more like, well, what information do you want to know? What do you want to ask Ra? Or what information do you want to ask the star? Because their main goal is to help and assist humanity in their ascension and evolution processes. They don't really get involved in politics. They do not get involved in politics at all. And I've even asked them questions, and they're like, we do not get involved in politics. We are all about ascension and learning and healing, and then watching humanity activate extrasensory abilities is their highest passion. So let's see. This one comes from Noreen. Is the evil eye real? And so the bigger question is it real to you? Because we have different perspectives on this planet. Now, you may hold an evil eye, and you may know and believe that evil eye is going to protect you. And so because of that belief, that knowing, then that manifestation is going to come into your physical reality. You're going to know it. So all of a sudden it becomes real for you. Now, because many people know about it, it makes that manifestation process stronger. Now, another person may come along and they may not believe. And so they may look at it and they may throw it, and it's whatever, it is what it is. They don't believe in it. And so their higher self may not allow that to manifest as a protection. Each of us is in our own timeline bubbles. The own timeline bubbles is basically like plugged into a simulation, each and every one of us. We are running our own memory grids. The memory grids allows for your individualized timeline to form. Your individualized timeline consists of your past, your present, and then your future. However, it is expanded into past lives, future lives. All of that knowledge from all of these different timelines, it's all happening right now in the 0 point, which is inside of your heart. So many times we'll see people say, well, we did a past life regression, and the past life regression showed me that these emotions or this trauma is running, and that's wonderful. But that's there so that you're able to cast in and you're able to pull those emotions and clear them. Because when you clear those emotions, it's clearing out of your field right now. And so those emotions are generating patterns of behavior right now in your life, which is changing or shifting the way that your manifestation is coming to you. Now, what I'm telling you guys is there's another technique that I wasn't aware of. I just found out because during my sessions, my starman told us. And he was like, there's another pattern in which you guys can imagine an emotion code. And so you take any emotion code that you come across, any of them, and just imagine and visualize a scenario. So that's called summoning the emotion. Now I want you guys to start summoning all of the negative emotions. Summon it. How does your body feel? Is there any tension? Is there any tightness? Do you feel any energy moving or shifting? Do you feel anything happening? Do you feel yucky? Do you feel angry? Do you feel, oh, maybe that shouldn't happen to people? What emotions do you have? Because a lot of times there's secondary emotions that get triggered because of the first emotion. Many times the emotions blend together. Sometimes it's 2, 3, or 4. We have spider attachments. They have 8 legs. What this actually is it's an X in the electrical, and then it's an X in the magnetism. So each one, it has 4. So 4 and 4 is 8. And so when we start to see the spider attachments, we know it's electrical and magnetism blended together, and then it latches into multiple systems. Because each one of the densities and traumas, it can contain multiple emotion codes, which these things usually do, but then they move and they shift. Because just imagine it's latched into multiple chakras. So if we clear it from the solar plexus, it could run down to the root chakra. So many times when you are, and the star people are stepping forward and they are saying, we are telling you this knowledge because several of you have spider attachments on you. And when you watch the video, you may feel a shift in your energetic systems and you will know who you are. And we will be standing right next to you, helping and assisting you in clearing these energetic beings off of your energy field. So just ever so gently, everybody watching, just take a nice deep breath in and release. Allowing the star people are stepping forward. They are generating an energetic vortex in all of your locations as well as mine. If you are driving, please do not do this. Just sit in the energy. And just imagine and visualize that they are clearing each and every one of your primary chakra systems. They are rebalancing, fine-tuning all of the chakras in the head. The meridian lines, the ley lines are being cleared. They are also encoding love-based frequencies into all of the smaller vortex energy points on your field. There are some of you who are channels and you are just stepping into your biological gifts. That is okay. You are also going to feel or sense a purple inside of your third eye system. This purple is us activating your channeling abilities. Each and every one of you are working currently with the star people. And we are fine-tuning you now to place each and every one on your highest potential timelines. Some of you have darkness that needs to be cleared. That is okay too. Just sit in the energy and we will assist. We cannot do it for you. But we are assisting and we are helping and guiding you. You know who you are. And now they are saying to just take an ever so gently deep breath in. And as you release, release with a Om. Allowing your heart to expand and allowing each person to feel a bright white light fully surrounding your biological forms. And we wish to say many love and blessings from the star people. Excellent, excellent. Oh, we still have a half hour. Okay, For where the human consciousness is now, what guidance can the star people give us to further grow this month? And so, to further grow and evolve, we really want to focus on removing the density from the grid, from the field, summoning different emotion codes. When we summon different emotion codes, it'll allow us to feel, is there a density blockage inside of this emotion code? Let's say you take a pen and a paper. If you summon an emotion code, let's say we summon depression. How does that make you feel? Are there any secondary or third emotion codes latched into that? Go right down a list. Get off and go home. Get off and go home. We also start to grow and develop and take full control of our energy field. So your thoughts and emotion is also key. Now, what they have told me is to walk around with this imaginary trash bin with a little vortex light inside of it. And anytime you have a negative thought, feeling, or emotion, you drag that emotion out of your mind, or that thought out of your mind, or the emotion out of your heart, and throw it in a trash bin, so that you start to take full control over the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that you are embodying. Now, many times and this is one that I was learning this week, it was, I'm sorry. What are we saying when we say that? I am sorry. Now, that sorry is an attachment. And I found myself saying this like 10 times for silly little things. It wasn't even anything big. And so we're embodying that attachment. You're saying, I am. Now, when we say I am, it should always be of a positive light. And so now, instead of saying I am sorry, it is, I love you. I will correct my behavior patterns. That is all. So we are not summoning dark attachments. We are changing and modifying the words that we use. The words that we use are so incredibly specific to our manifestations that anytime we start to say, I love life, double tap the heart, that's an affirmation. When we double tap the heart, it actually allows an energetic imprint to form in the field. That field magnetizes our manifestations to us. When we start to release and remove densities, then all of a sudden we are going to realize and recognize that every word that we speak and every emotion that we embody, it sets off a type of magnetism. And that magnetism is how we manifest. So, but not only that, the star people are stepping forward saying that we cast energetics. So your chi energetic systems, we cast it. When we cast it, it basically is the same principle as sending love and light to the plant and allowing the plant to grow 10 times its original size. That comes because we are using magnetism and electricity at the same time during our energy castings. Opening portals. Yes, it is very, very real. Right now, you have to meditate and you have to imagine sending an energetic circle outside of your body. And yes, you will start to see sparkles. You have to release a density first, and you have to sit there. It actually took me an hour to do. I saw the sparkles and my heart jumped into my throat, and then bam, it was gone. And I wasn't going to do it again for another hour, but I've seen the sparkles, so I know that it's real. So if we can do that right now, that means go inside, release a density, and then start placing focus and conscious attention on activating the extrasensory ability range. The solar energetics is super high right now. So it's allowing humanity to step into a timeline in which these abilities are real. I see the abilities manifesting in people all the time in my sessions, all the time, because if people come and the star people tell them, this is your attunements to extrasensory abilities. And you're like, oh yeah, I've been doing that since I was a kid. And it's very physically focused. And a lot of us have these great intuitive thoughts. And a lot of us sit there. I heard my daughter's thought stream. And so the way the thought stream works is like this. All of the thoughts that are going to come into your mind, they're outside of your head in the field. And then all of a sudden it comes like a frequency wave. And so you can start to tune in and hear the thoughts before they actually enter the head. They sound and they feel totally different on the outside compared to the inside. This is how telepathy actually works. So before my daughter was able to say her thoughts, I heard them in my head and then she heard them because I was tuning in telepathically to her thought stream. So when you start to energetically bond with people, when we start the process of energetic bonding, that means we spend enough time in their frequency waves. So you shouldn't be hanging out with people who are depressed, because then you start the process of energetic bonding with them. Or someone who has a lot of chaos in their field, you start to energetically bond with them. And then all of a sudden you guys start running cycles together because you're always together. Now that's great. If you're the higher frequency person and you're hanging out with lower frequency people, they tend to drag you down. But if you're lower and you're hanging out with higher, they tend to drag you up. This is just a natural process that happens to us in the energy fields. That's okay too. So this is why we always want to have a look at our top 5 people. Are they assisting you and dragging you up? Each one of you guys should be at a similar level, but shooting for things. The second that people stop making moves to shoot for higher levels, then all of a sudden they're going to get left back until they start to refocus in that patterning, which is okay too, because everyone has a right to experience their lives the way that they want to. But during the process of evolution, keep focusing on manifesting positive, and more positive is going to come. Excellent. Are these at 7 o'clock Tuesday every week? So we go live every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Afterwards, we do a shadow work Zoom. Anybody who wants to come, it is complimentary. Just send me a message through daniellipton.com and I will send you the Zoom link so you guys can come. Wonderful. Okay. Is silent or guided meditations more beneficial? If it is guided, will it still raise my frequency? And so this is very important because there's so many different types of meditation, and each and every one of them is fully important in their own value. So a silent meditation is when everything is quiet, you're blacking out the room, say, because you're shutting off the complete physical reality. And then you are just listening to your heart rate, and you are just listening to your biological form and what's going on inside of you. That is very, very, very important because it's going to give you more access into how does my body feel? There are certain questions that you can start to ask the biological form during those type of meditations. You can ask your body, hey, kidneys, how do you feel? And then you're either going to feel really good or you're going to feel really not so good. And depending on the answer that your body gives you, you're going to know, okay, my kidneys need a little more support. So let me go find a crystal. What kind of crystal is good for the kidneys? Okay. Or maybe you're taking a supplement. Okay. Maybe I could take this. Maybe I could do a detox. Maybe I could drink some more water. You can even ask, it's kind of like muscle testing, but it's different because it's done with the consciousness. You can ask your stomach, hey, do you like the foods that I'm feeding you? If the stomach is like, it gurgles or something, that means no, let's change it. You'll have the intuitive thought. That is why we go into silent meditations. It's to learn about the physical body. And then not only that, but to see what thoughts you have running. So are your thoughts positive or negative? Allow your consciousness to ask you. If you don't believe your consciousness can ask you, ask the higher self. We usually see the higher self as a separate entity during the stages of evolution. But the second that you realize it's you and it's your intuition, the higher self can either give you a warm sensation for a yes or the chills. So whatever you choose to program as an action code with your higher self is absolutely wonderful because your higher self is going to give you the knowledge that you need to assist in your evolutionary processes. Your higher self should be number one over any person, over any channel, over any extraterrestrial or star person. You should always listen to your higher self as number one because every single one of us, we manifest differently. And so your higher self can see your own personal timeline. So it knows what changes and modifications need to be made to get you to the finish line so that you are happy. So, and that higher self is always going to speak to you through the heart. So if your higher self is telling you this feels good, it's going to feel excited. Your heart's going to jump for joy, or your heart's going to sing. And that is because you're listening to the higher self, because the higher self controls the heart and the emotions in the heart. There's an energetic slipstream that comes down, and it controls the thoughts, feelings, and emotions in the heart above time and space. There's also tachyon particles inside the heart. So now we can scientifically see that the heart has particles that are above time and space. So that's wonderful. That's showing us that the higher self speaks to us through the heart. The heart always knows. Now, when we start to do different types of meditation, we can do emotion code meditations. You go inside, close your eyes, and feel the emotion. How does that emotion make your body feel? Where do you feel it? Then you start asking more questions. Is there any attachments latched onto me because of this emotion? If there is, give me the attachment's name, because sometimes the attachment's name are slightly different than the emotion code. So one may be a sadness attachment, and then the attachment's name could be like, woe, always me. So the names are ever so different. I'm making a book of all the names. This way we have them. Now, but once again, the star people are saying you don't need to buy a book. You just need to ask the higher self, and the higher self will channel the name out of you. If you're having a hard time making contact or communication with the higher self, the star people are saying you can call upon the star people because they are here to assist all of us. And they want all of us to talk to them directly. The channelers is wonderful for now, but they want to speak to all of us, and they have enough people to help and assist all of us together as one, which is wonderful, because then you can take it and you can put the power in your own hands. That's the whole purpose of evolution, is so we empower each other to step into our own divine gifts and our own power. And so giving away all of your power to another person, or listening to like a religious authority or figure, or any of these people, or a monk, any of that stuff, we want to take the power back. You want to listen to your own heart, your own higher self. The star beings are ready and willing and able to show us how to take our power back and how to really step into higher frequency ranges. You got to step through the door, though. So there comes a degree in which we have to take physical steps. When we take physical steps, it's like, okay, you gave me the knowledge, and now I have to put it into my life, and I have to do it. So however long that takes you to do is perfectly fine. Some things I've even struggled with, and that's okay too. But so long as we're consciously focused on taking the baby steps and really growing and doing something positive for ourselves each day, they're willing to help us then. Okay, it's beautiful. Okay, I spoke of certain zodiac personalities coming into our lives at different times. Does that mean a certain type of energy is drawn to you when needed? And the examples are earth, air, fire, water. That's exactly correct. And so, but it goes a level deeper. Now, just imagine, because we can do elemental breath work. And so when we close our eyes, we are not breathing in water, although technically there's water vapors in the air, the star people are saying. And so technically you are breathing in the element of water. Now, when we breathe in fire, it is not an actual fire from like a lighter. We are breathing in ether, which is light source. The flame is light. It generates light. So we are breathing in a type of ether, or he's showing me it's hot. So it's like, just imagine and visualize taking in that elemental. Now, air is pulling in the air. Water and earth, you're allowing magnetism, because Mother Earth has magnetic grids, and allowing that energy of Mother Earth to come into your systems. When you do all of these and you're properly aligned, and your brain waves as well as your heart is in cohesion, that shall allow a higher level of activation inside of the 3 levels of the energetic grid complex to activate. Now, he's showing me that you will be able to make changes or modifications to your location ring, which the location ring controls all of the things that you see in the physical reality, including every place that you have been to for this entire day, as well as any locations you may see on TV, or whatever locations have been brought into your conscious awareness, shall be readily available to change or manifest according to the 3 degrees of your energy field that you have activated. When you start to activate the 3rd degree, this is where your star field is located. This star field is your life experiential field, which shall allow you access into the plasma, which is how each individual instantaneously manifests items. The plasma field is directly connected to the plasma inside of the blood systems, as well as Mother Earth's plasma balls, which are located inside her internally. During certain, I had to take a swallow. It was too much at once. Okay, hold on. During certain solar alignments, it shall allow Mother Earth to cast upwards plasma balls, which will be released, and those plasma balls are going up into the upper atmosphere, having an effect on the human consciousness grids, which then in turn start to assist humanity in their manifestation abilities. Now, the manifestation abilities, they're showing me it's like pulling the ether out of the air, and it goes, and then we're instantaneously manifesting in the real-time moment. That's the abilities that we have, but we have to unlock 3 degrees of the energy field in order to allow those type of manifestations to come into our current realities. Now, once again, we're in a simulation to a degree, and so there are physically focused people who are on this planet. Some people are not in alignment to see or witness how this process works. That's okay too, because they just won't see it. They'll be somewhere on the other side of the planet. We'll be out in the woods somewhere singing to the fairies. Then all of a sudden we'll have an instantaneous manifestation fire off for us. That's okay too. Some people who are physically focused may see it and then they may not believe it. So we can see how each and every one of us is in our own little timeline bubbles, and then we manifest according to our perception and what frequencies that we are holding as individuals. Now, when we start to come together as groups, the groups is the big shifts. So we can make big modifications to the simulation when we start coming together in 3 or more beings. So there is a form of quantum entanglement that takes place, and it's very strong when we are together in real life. I've seen it, so I know it. But when we start to embody the higher frequencies, and all of a sudden we are all focused, or we get into that zone of perception, so it's kind of like everyone experiencing joy and bliss and really high frequencies at once, that is when we can summon. I was going to say the word deity, and they're like, it's not really a deity. It's more like summoning the source frequency to make changes and modifications to the entire simulation. That is a quantum shift. Each person who becomes quantum entangled during that shift and embodies the higher frequency, their perception is going to be shifted into a different timeline in which that manifestation comes into their current reality subsystems. So, wonderful. Old codes are sacred geometry. Drawing the codes most certainly does help. That was one of the questions that we came through. And now, when we start to look at sacred geometric codes, there's always a mathematical sequence. Grabovoli codes is something that we were working on this week. So you guys can see 0010110. We've been walking around the house singing it. It's so much fun to be. It's so much fun to hang out with me and the kids, right? And so we do these things and we try them. We guinea pig them. We see what changes were made. And I could tell you something right now from doing the attachment removals, people see significant changes in their life. And it's just like clearing out the density, which allows you to instantaneously shift into a higher timeline frequency. When that happens, all of a sudden, you may have had something that was broken in your house, and then it's like magic. It was never broken at all. That's happened to one of my people this week, actually this past weekend. And so it's beautiful and it's amazing. But the star people are stepping forward and they're saying, we want each and every one of you guys to recognize that you are a divine being. So you can take a piece of paper and a pen, you can draw a squiggly line. You can believe that that squiggly line is going to grant you magical abilities, and you could manifest it just according to a squiggly line. That's how strong we are. So once again, utilizing something as a free pass or a tool for our manifestation is wonderful, but just recognize the powers inside of you. You don't need the squiggly line. You don't need the crystal. You don't need anything. You don't need another friend to tell you you can do it. You have to step into your own power. Whatever you want to manifest is where you put your focus and energy into. And then all of a sudden, it's going to allow that to show you reflections. The reflections that you see are going to be, one, how are you spending your time? That's a reflection of whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, because it's showing you where you're putting your energy. The energy is going to expand. So if you're putting your energy into something that you want to see manifest, it's going to expand more and more. Then you may start to notice other people talking about it. Then you may start to notice changes or shifts. You may start to notice, let's say, for an example, you just bought, let's go with a Chevy. And so let's say you just bought a Chevy. The second you roll the car off of the dealership parking lot, you start to notice cars everywhere. That is because you just spent your energy. You put your energy into that manifestation because you manifested that car. So now all of the mirror reflections starts to activate. This is also known as the reticular activation system, which is inside of the cortex, the neocortex in the front of the brain. And that starts to show you reflections. Now, many times, this area of the brain also controls everything that the conscious focus and attention sees. So we can look at one solid image, and your mind is going to go to certain parts of the image depending on the way that this system is set up. So you're in alignment with the parts of the image that your brain is telling you to see. When we start getting to a high enough degree of consciousness, we're able to pull this system back and we're able to summon the entire image so that your subconscious mind sees the entire image. The entire image is stored in your memory grid complex. So now we're just telling the reticular activation system, I want to see the entire picture. I don't want to see a tiny sample of the picture. I'm ready. Show me the entire image. When we start to do things like that, though, you start to raise in consciousness very, very rapidly to such a degree in which you start to see through the entire simulation. Because that one image that you're pulling all information from, it is a fractalized moment of the entire simulation. So we can take a look into the physical body and see the same exact thing. We could take a look at the hands. You could take a look at the bottoms of the feet. You could tell the health of the entire person just by looking at the soles of the feet or even the face. When we reach such a degree in which we start to have wrinkles in the face, they're all emotions that we have held over an extended period of time. Your lines on the hands, they will also change depending on the emotions that you hold or depending on what manifestations or what moves that you have made in the physical reality. So if you made a move and that move is going to cast you or project you on a higher frequency timeline, the lines are going to change. Now, when we start to notice changes or modifications, sometimes there will be an error code in our simulation. So you may go through your iPhone camera and you may notice that you took a photo of your hand and now the lines are different. That's an error code because the second that you stepped onto the new timeline, your camera and all the photos are supposed to be from that new timeline that is held. Sometimes your higher self will make something different or an error, and that is specifically for you to get your attention. Another such example, which the star people are saying happened to someone here, you may have noticed that there was a building where you know for a fact that building was never there, but it's an old building. And so then all of a sudden, it's like an error code. That's what it is. There are certain zodiac alignments as well as timeline convergences, which generate, it's sort of like he's showing me like a deja vu, except what it really is all the timelines blending together as one. And so in a parallel reality, that building was always there. But now because all the timelines came together, it's like a breath. That breath out is a timeline convergence. And so the building was always there, but it was in a parallel reality. But the second that the breath comes back in, now you'll start to notice new growth manifesting into your physical reality. So take notice when you start to notice things changing or things of that nature come in. Yeah, Caroline, come with me, do some attachment removals. I do offer sessions. They are on my website, daniellipton.com. If you guys ever want to hop to and do, I do private star people sessions as well as attachment removal sessions. Drawing Merkabas and chakras are excellent. Now, the chakra systems is wonderful because when you start to really tune into people's energy fields, you have to take this and do it to people for free. Sit down with all your friends and family, close your eyes, just let them sit there and just tell them to close your eyes so you don't have to make eye contact and get weirded out. But just imagine and visualize pulling at each one of their chakras. Imagine pulling a grid out and surrounding their entire body with that grid. And now in your mind's eye, just look for the darkness. Any of the darkness, just pull it off, throw it into a trash can. Pull it off, throw it into a trash can. That's it. What you're doing is you're cleansing and purifying their grids, which is going to make them feel lighter. You can also, and I recommend each and every one of you guys to do this, you can also do personal affirmations on your own energy field so that everyone who steps into my energy field is healed. And then I usually say, Amen, usa, usa, usa. Amen means send it to the sun for manifestation. The word usa means it is done. So it is real, it is sealed into the simulation. It is done already. That's it. The more and more we start to focus on programming that affirmation, it's actually going to help us too, because then our frequency raises, we manifest it to raise, and then all of a sudden we start to have this effect of a higher frequency range, which other people step into it and they feel much lighter when they come around us. So bam, that manifestation is done. Each and every one of us should do it because that's a simple way of healing each other with not having to think about it. It happens automatically. You can also program the higher self to do automatic action codes. And so one action code could be, thank you, higher self, for cleaning out everyone's root chakra system and rebalancing it to a positive light frequency every single time they come into contact with one of my videos or into my energy field, or they even hear my name spoken. And then we go, Amen, usa, usa, usa. Now, higher self, take that manifestation and encode it into every single person watching the video so that it may also be inside their energetic grid complexes. Amen. Usa, usa, usa. Now just pay attention to your physical reality and just see what manifests. Just kick back and just perceive. Don't force it. You don't even have to know or believe it. Just sit back and see it. When you start to see the reflections and you start to see the manifestation coming to you, then you'll know it in your heart and you'll be like, oh, it was that manifestation from that video and it worked. But the universe may take you through a healing process as well, the star people are saying, because when we start doing things like that, it tends to heal your root chakra. So it allows your root chakra to be in a higher frequency, and then it will allow for other people to tune into the higher frequency in your root chakra. So with that, we are going to say good night. We wish you many, many love and blessings. Thank you guys so incredibly much for coming. Anyone who's coming to the Shadow Work Zoom, it starts at 8:30 Eastern, which is in 30 minutes. Send me a message through my website, DanielleLipton.com. I will send you guys a Zoom link. Anyone interested in the Bonaire retreat, there's only 2 spots left. So please send me a message. We are doing a retreat. It's in January. We are doing a water cleansing and purification ritual for all of Mother Earth and for our own water structures. So yeah, just send me a message through DanielleLipton.com, and you guys have a wonderful night and many, many love and blessings. Hey, Fabio. Have a good night, guys. Excellent.